welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran, Excel Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life you love. So today is a very, very important subject, and one that I am all too familiar with: shiny object syndrome and how to avoid it. So shiny object syndrome is real and something that will hit us at some point as an entrepreneur, usually at the beginning. Okay, it's not anything to do with literal shiny things, although I wish it was, but it may as well be. So it's this idea of getting distracted by the next thing that we need or want that takes us away from the task at hand until the next one comes along after that. So shiny object syndrome is like entrepreneurial ADD. It is one of the biggest and often most destructive things actually afflicting entrepreneurs left, right, and center. And it got me too. So I was a huge sufferer of this particular affliction, and ended up spending a fortune. And when I say a fortune, we're talking multi-five figures here across a year. It's not a small amount. And this is on all the things that I absolutely needed before I could move forward in my business. And the reality was, it just made me feel busy being busy. You'll always hear me talking about this: busy being busy, not achieving anything fast and feeling pretty stuck and frustrated. Now, a huge part of why this affects us is actually our own self-doubt. So it's a naughty, pesky little mindset gremlin that's disguised as something much more practical. So can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to spot. So for me, it was I needed the best course on Pinterest, the best course on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Well, obviously I need to grow my group, and obviously I need to get hundreds of likes on my Facebook page. I need Instagram, memberships, online marketing courses, all of the expensive systems, spending £300 on lead pages when I hadn't even got a lead magnet, all the memberships, all the courses, all the tools. Anyone else got AppSumo? It's the devil. And if I didn't have them, then clearly my business was doomed to fail, right? Can anyone relate? But actually, what it did was, even though I had all these resources and training from the best of the best in the online industry, it held me back from actually taking the action in my business that I needed to. So what is underneath the shiny object syndrome? Underneath it all for me was fear. It was a fear that I didn't know enough, and a fear of feeling, a feeling of having to be in all the places, to have all the things in order to be successful. But also excuses not to do the hard stuff, to not push myself out my comfort zone, giving myself permission to not do the things that would actually absolutely get things moving. It's bonkers. If you don't nip it in the bud, it will cost you a fortune in time and money, and it will hold you back. It will keep you in this loop of being the eternal student, where you could actually be making more money by focusing on things that will actually move the needle. So often I see comparisonitis at the root of shiny object syndrome as well. Remember that whole thing that I was saying before? I felt like I had to be in all the places. That feeling of, well, if I'm not on X platform, then I'm not good enough. And if X entrepreneur that I really want to be like is on X platform, then I have to be on that platform, because otherwise I'm never going to be as good as them and my business is doomed to fail. It's wasting time jumping on the next social media platform and following 20 different people essentially teaching the same thing from a slightly different angle, but then you get totally confused and bamboozled about what the right thing to actually do is. So what happens if you don't actually sort this? If you don't get it in check, what it's going to mean is you're going to end up with a million little projects on the go, but never actually finishing any of them, or giving any of them a chance to actually start seeing results. Because what you do is you start doing it, you're like, oh, well, everyone else has done it quicker than me, so I'm just going to give up on that. But we know that there's a lot of people in the online space that aren't 100% honest about results and growth and when they did it, which algorithm was in play when they built their list, and thousands and thousands and thousands, all these different things. But you'll also feel overwhelmed as your to-do list gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, but nothing's actually moving. Your strategy and your plans and your goals just go out the window, and you will be seriously down on the cashisha. So it works both ways. So for things that you buy that you absolutely have to have, you need them, but also it'll get you in creation mode. You'll be creating a million products all in one go and investing time and energy into the things you actually absolutely have to do, or your business will be a failure. Oh, well, everyone else has an online course, so I have to have an online course, but you never actually give yourself a chance to get one thing right. You will be a distracted jack of all trades and master of none. So does any of that stuff sound familiar? Everybody has an online course, so I must have an online course. Everybody has a membership site, so I must have a membership site. Everybody has a book, so I have to write a book. Everyone has a Facebook group, so I have to have one. The list goes on and on and on and on and on and on. You can see how it can be really exhausting and can massively keep you stuck, because overwhelm, I can't remember who said it. Overwhelm's all about not knowing what step to take next. You can just build your to-do list until it's enormous, and then you look at it and you're like, I just don't know, I have no clue where to start. But underneath it is often a lack of confidence in what you're doing. So tune into that and work on that part of it. So shiny object syndrome always seems like it's one of the more practical things, but it really is a mindset gremlin. There's several in play all the time with it. So tune into that. When you feel the draw towards another product to buy or create for yourself, what's underneath that? Do I have a fear? Do I have, am I procrastinating? What is it? Ask yourself lots and lots and lots and lots of questions. Get super curious with what's going on for you. Is this really right for my business at this point in time? It may be, we all want to do all the things. We all want all the things. It doesn't mean you have to do them all at once. It's all about having a flow and introducing things when they're right for you. So would following it through be in line with your values and how you want to live your life? I actually spent a lot of time, there were certain couple of other people that I would watch and go, oh my God, why are they so much further ahead than me? And it would drive me crazy. And then I suddenly realized, I was like, hang on a minute, I would not want to live my life that way. They're out of alignment with my values, so I don't like what they're doing. You just get audience envy. And actually, you don't need to at all, because sometimes when you actually look at the bigger picture, you can see that there's a lot of things that these other people you're comparing yourself to are actually doing things that you don't really want to do, and that would involve you doing things that don't work for your life. So then you can let it go, which is amazing. So the sneaky procrastination gremlin is often at play as well. So it is a sneaky form of procrastination. It's disguised as productivity, but actually it's massively taking you away from your end goal. So you might feel like you're being productive, but sometimes this shiny object can be just the excuse that you need to not finish the project that is actually going to put yourself out there, that's actually going to push you outside of your comfort zone. All right. But it could also actually drive the needle in your business. And sometimes that's the scary thing. When money starts to come in, then you're like, oh, sugar, I actually have to do this thing now. Yeah, so be aware of these. Make sure you pay attention and look out for that little sneaky McSneakerson. So another thing to ask yourself is this just harder than you thought? Like I said before, there's a lot of people in the online space that are really not honest about what it took to get where they are. All these unicorns saying you can make 6 figures in 6 months, which you can. There are some unicorns. But normally there's a year and a half or 2 years of graft before that in terms of creating your audience and building your audience. You'll pivot several times, all these different things. So is this just feeling harder than you thought? Everyone else makes it look so easy. You might feel like when you start, you're really trying something and you realize it's harder, and then you have a little bit of a meltdown and you look for reasons, excuses to get out. Yeah, you're always looking at the grass on the other side of the fence. And please remember, and I loved it when I heard this, the grass isn't greener on the other side. It is greener where you water it. Please remember that. Remember, you don't have the whole picture. The bottom line is, unless you are a unicorn, these things do take time. and work to grow. It's very easy for other people to make it look effortless, but the reality is often not as it seems. But the worst thing is you start to think that there is something wrong with you. You're doing all this work and you're not getting anywhere, and you'll end up spinning your wheels. There is nothing wrong with you. If you get stuck in this loop, you'll never stick with anything long enough to actually make it work. Your expectations are that as soon as you start doing something, it should deliver immediate effects, immediate results. That's something that, the industry is broken in that way, resulting in these expectations that are far too high, and then a feeling of impatience and inadequacy. But if you can have a little bit of patience, then everything's going to fall into place for you. You feel like when you don't have that result that the unicorn did, that you bought from, when algorithms and the landscape were totally different to how they are now, like a little transparency would be nice. If anyone's listening to that does that stuff, please take note. You feel like there must be something wrong with you, but there's not. You just need a little more focus to get those little pesky underlying thoughts and feelings that are keeping you there, and prove to yourself that they aren't actually true. So how can this stop getting in your way? How can you stop this actually letting you get in your own way? Don't give up. Don't quit, please. That's my number one thing. Do not give up. Do not quit. Have patience. Exercise some self-discipline. Prioritize what will move the needle. Stick to your goals. Pick one person to follow in one field after you've prioritized your platforms and where you're at right now. And do not compare yourself to other people. There is no point. You need to reward yourself when you actually complete the tasks. I do this sometimes. I'm like, right, okay, when I finish this thing, I'm going to buy myself that. Or when I finish this thing, I'm going to allow myself that. All these different things. Reward yourself. Bribe yourself. It's ethical bribery. When you're bribing yourself, is fine. Be really honest about what story you're actually telling yourself. Look out for if I get this course, this will be the last, this will be what I need, and then everything will happen. Look out for that and challenge yourself. Is this true? Is this actually true? Always kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Okay? I have to remind myself of this all the time. For the longest time, I wasn't sticking to anything. I was overcomplicating things and spreading myself too thin. And that does nothing good to your mindset, let me tell you. You can overcomplicate things to the point that you overwhelm yourself, then you procrastinate. All these other things happen. Just keep it simple. Keep it super, super simple. Block out the noise and stay in your own lane. Do what you want to do, not what you think you should do or what someone else is telling you should do. Don't listen to me when I tell you what you should do. You have to make these decisions for yourself. Make sure you're being really honest with yourself when you're looking for an easy way out and making excuses so you can stay inside your comfort zone. Look out for that. You just need to decide. Make a decision to stop buying things and decide to focus on making one thing work before moving on to the next. There's a lot there. Normally people talk about this in very, very practical senses, but it's really important for me that people understand these naughty, sneaky, little hidden mindset gremlins that are getting in the way of it. I really, really hope that that was useful for you and illuminating, shall we say. So, as always, I will see you next week.